Hello, my name is Karen Walsh, and I have over my life learned a lot about power in social relationships. And a big idea that developed for me was to create a practice community with others who are doing their personal and professional development around having the energy, having the ability to engage in relationships so we can always get what we need. So my big idea is that through practice community and quantum experiences with each other, we can create abundance and we can create health and well-being. And I am so happy to be a part of this community.
So, Dr. Walsh, what is the current product that you would like to offer into the community, the fruits of your labor?
I really believe in a practice community. And what I mean by that is a safe place where people can go who want to really practice using yes and use power with one another. So the product I'd like to offer is a community, access to a community of like-minded people who would create a safe space for us all to be able to practice when we do get bowled over by someone who uses bully or predatory tactics. And I know from experience that when you practice these skills, active listening, empathy, providing feedback, getting feedback, sharing vulnerabilities, and sharing your strength and resources, that so much can happen.
Dr. Walsh, what is your vision for the world?
My vision for the world is that people understand that we all have the capacity to get what we need. We all are enough. We all can access resources that we need. And my vision for the world is that we really understand that we have a lot more to offer and we can get others to help us more than we ever thought were possible. And I have a vision for the world that there's a wisdom in caring for one another and understanding one another and bringing everyone along. And I don't talk about this in Pollyanna, but I believe in inclusivity because so much more resource and ability and fun comes from that experience.
And Dr. Walsh, what do you need and how do you care for yourself?
What I need is community. I really miss, as a faculty member, not being in a classroom or with a cohort to really share these really important big ideas. So I need a community that I can share with in terms of how I feel disappointed some days. And for my self-care, it means being calm. I have a meditation practice. I love nature. I love pets. I love my friends. I nurture my relationship with my husband and my son and my family. And what I need is to be able to share in the joy and the vulnerabilities of being human in today's world. Anna, what about you? What's the big idea you've learned over the last past lifetime you've had? What's your big idea?
Few lifetimes. My name is Anna Sokolova. As you can tell, I'm very much Russian as it gets. By original degree, I'm a lawyer. And then when I came to the United States, 30 years this year, I added the international component being the international trade lawyer. And then thanks to Dr. Walsh, had exposure to actually co-teaching courses in not only the Russian language that I taught, but cross-cultural communications and negotiations. And I think what I really have learned is that there's a dark force that is trying to keep us separate and withhold information from us. So what I've learned is that when people communicate directly with each other, I did a lot of interpreting with the groups that came from, Soviet Union to the United States. The big idea and the lesson is like put people in front of each other so you can communicate directly without any, those that give us the agendas and the fear. Don't look that way. Look exactly that way. That's the lesson learned.
Oh, and I'll ask the next question. What existing products do you have that you want to offer?
I will stick to the products that I have been offering, services, really, services to people. I'm still not practicing actively, but I do a lot of advising and consulting when people come and ask, like, what would you do? So I still have my legal hat on when necessary. I did a lot of facilitation, and my circle of friends and colleagues, they use me as an advisor. Sometimes people have a presentation and they come like, can you take a look? Like, so I call it the being the devil's advocate when they need to be like taken apart so they can then reassemble it for the final presentation. So like for investors, partners. So I'd say I consult people in potential partnerships or in preparation for conflict resolution. And currently, what I would like to do more of is to like kind of, you know, infuse it with creative approaches like dancing, like improv. So really helping people be prepared for a negotiation or some kind of a project where they need to speak, but use like the body, the creativity of a dancer. So they don't just prepare sitting down, writing it, but maybe being on a dance floor, learning how I'm going to feel when I show up in front of a judge. No, for instance.
Thank you, Anna. I'm going to ask you as well as what I asked Dr. Waltrich is, what is your vision for the world?
I want the world to really be celebrating humanity. I want to see festivals, dance events, let that be a competition or just like a ball where people are dressed up and they respect each other and the space, like the dignity of the formal, like a diplomatic way of showing up and just like being a representative of a culture, a nation.
And Anna, what do you need and how do you care for yourself?
I dance. I want to dance more. I need to dance more. And I do need partners in crime. Those people that I want to just say, I don't know what we're going to be doing, but I'm in. And should we ask Sharon the questions? Like, what's that big thing that you, my partner in crime,
Yes.
have learned in the past lives of yours?
Wow. The biggest thing I believe that I have learned from my own personal journey all these decades is that the environment that we live in does not give us permission to become self-aware and live from that self-awareness. There is a huge amount of judgment and resistance to being outside of the norm. And in reality, we are all outside of the norm in some way. And to be whole in who we are, to respect who we are, and to live that way with freedom. And having people, you don't have to like everyone, but just allow everyone to be the good, the bad, and the ugly whenever they are. Um, that's what I have learned through being judged a lot, not only by myself, but by other people for a whole host of reasons. And someone's knocking at my door. Let me just, sorry.
In the meantime, Ani, tell us about your big idea.
So I think my name's Ani Gabriel, and do you want to continue?
Can you come back? Because I'm on a
Oh.
Zoom. Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So what I have learned is that we've also been told a bunch of hooey about the way the world works. And that when I chose to rearrange my family through a divorce, my directive to myself was to question everything and look for different answers. Because I think that is what is important to expand my awareness, to expand my inclusivity, to expand my love and less judgment for all of us.
What is your vision for the world?
Mm. My vision for the world is through my efforts and compassionate work to transform everyone's human communication. I have found that we really have a deficit in how we speak with each other, not to each other, but with each other. And that begins with the conversation we have about ourselves inside our head. So, my vision for the world is to create a space where everyone can try and try again, can speak their truth, and can listen to others speaking their truth, again, without having to agree, but to at least allow the opportunity for a small opening in your psyche to hear something new that might inform you differently.
What is the product that you offer in this space, Sharon?
Thank you. I am a life, family, and communication coach, and consultant. So I work with families who are raising teenagers in major transitions who are moving through divorce. I work a lot with fathers and grandparents raising the next generation. I work with the next generation raising themselves. I work with individuals wanting to present themselves more authentically, but also to have healthy boundaries. And through that, I've developed a business called the Core Communication Lab, which, like this, is a practice area for people to engage with some information that I can deliver about how to communicate under creating relationships, owning your own voice, respecting everyone's differences, and then being willing to learn new and engage new. And I'm also the founder of a global movement called No Judgment, Just Love. Now, we all judge all the time, including me, and I know that, but No Judgment invites you to do your judgment and then move from that by using what I call your GPS, which is your greatest personal shift to another perspective that allows you to see people as they are and let them be who they need to be.
So how do you take care of yourself, and what would you need from our community?
Community. I'm here in my sweet, lovely home by myself 90% of the time.
Yeah.
I am a gregarious, happy person that loves people. So I would love to be around more curious, intelligent, compassionate, free, willing to share and give and share. Yeah, so that I can collaborate with more business people, hear more different perspectives. I want to be more multicultural. I'm here in the United States, and I would like to be, we're going through our little teenage years here. And how I do self-care is I spend an inordinate amount of time talking to me. Who are you? Who were you? What is blocking you? What are your fears? What are your emotional triggers? What are your things that block you from becoming who way down inside I know I am, and I haven't been given myself or societal permission to be that?
Ani, what about you? What's your big idea?
So I'm Ani, and I think my big idea is I think about I've had the privilege to travel and study many things and have sort of many lives, and it's not about it's the word trace that I think of, the trace that is left by all these experiences. And it's not the things that you study, it's not the things that you learn, it's not the places that you've been exactly, but it's the trace that leaves on the imprint that leaves on your soul and on your psyche. So my big idea is really exploring what that is, that trace, and realizing that none of the other things matter. Like almost like a rocket taking off and like losing the booster and losing all those, I'm not a nuclear scientist, but losing all those bits that they drop and then they just take off.
Yeah.
So the trace of that, and words for me are very important. So communication, vulnerability, authenticity, and transparency. Those are my big ideas.
And Ani, how do you present your big ideas? What products do you have?
Yes, thank you for asking. So, in terms of a product, my background is education and AI, looking at AI, communication in AI and bias in AI, specifically LLMs. So I'm offering sort of consulting, assuming a superpositional framing, which basically is another way of saying, or a fancy way of saying inclusivity. How do you use these products? We are in an age where things are changing exponentially. How do we adapt to these new products? And how do we use them to empower ourselves? How do we use them without losing our authenticity? How do we be transparent about using them? So co-creating with AI, looking at that, leadership with AI, especially women leading with AI. What are the implications of that? What are things we have to keep in mind? Um, and then just co-writing with AI as well. So these are things that I offer.
And what is your vision for the world?
My vision for the world is that we basically is one of inclusivity. One, instead of a binary either or, we have all options possible, because when we have all options possible, we we open up our thinking, we create more, we achieve more. If everybody's the same, you're not going to achieve something different. So we have like the gamut of all the experiences. And instead of seeing it as either or, as we've all sort of suggested, it's both and it's all. So I think that we achieve more in humanity if we think about it that way.
And Ani, what do you need and how do you care for yourself?
Well, for me, I need movement every day. I need meditation every day and music every day. So those are my three M's. And finally, I need a C, community. I do need that. I think that as we are, we're increasingly, all of us are in separate rooms now. We don't have that experience of co-regulating with other humans, synchronizing with other humans. I think we're biologically meant to do that, and we're being sort of cut off and independent from all that. So I think we crave it even more. And these spaces become even more important. We don't actually know when we're processing in our brains that it's not real, right? We're still experiencing it. So that doing this is incredibly important. And not looking at it as a negative thing in terms of us being disconnected, because we have the opportunity to be all of us here together. We wouldn't otherwise be. We're all in different places. And I think that can add to it in a different way. We otherwise would not have met. So it is a gift, and we can look at it that way.
I am so excited how this community has developed. And we have a lot to say and we have a lot that we're going to do. So thank you for your introductions today, and let's get started.